Hi everyone, welcome to the Z review. So this is my first ever review, and what better way to kick it off than a review of one of my favourite TV shows, Riverdale. And with me today is my good friend Andy.
Hi guys.
And Andy loves the show as well, so I thought why not kick things off with something that we both love. So Andy, first question for you really, what was your initial thoughts on Riverdale when you were first going to start watching it? Because I remember I was recommending it to you.
Yeah, you were
a bit on the fence really.
I was, yeah. When I first ever watched it, basically, at first I did feel it was a little bit too teeny. You know,
Yeah,
obviously
true.
I know it is
True.
teen based, and obviously they won the teen awards. I do
That's
understand
true,
that.
yeah.
But at first I couldn't quite get into it. At first I was also thinking this is a bit weird.
Yeah.
The first ever scene were about Jason, was it? Yeah, it was Jason.
Jason Blossom, yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like how he dropped it. Like he fell off the board into the river because she dropped a glove, wasn't it? I'm sure. That was the case.
And before reviewing this, we did also watch the first clip of the first season as well.
Yeah.
Check if she had gloves, because Andy was in two minds. So,
alright, that's exactly it. But yeah, I just found it a little bit weird how and you actually mentioned this before. He didn't talk. He's just like silent. He was just like this.
throughout the season, he doesn't say one single word. So I mean, by all means, it's a great story, and we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But I just feel like one thing I noticed while rewatching the first season was if he had talked a little bit more.
It would have been nice to see a little bit more about that character.
Yeah. And a bit more of a connection with the audience, because by all means, I felt sorry that he was eventually killed.
But you're like who is that guy?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, kind of thing. When everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought, man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but obviously in Riverdale, there's a lot to discuss in this review. There's a lot of stories about the main characters and then the parents as well. So we'll get into a bit more about that. So yeah, so Andy, as I was kind of saying earlier when we were having a bit of a chat, it's a bit weird how these four main characters, well, Kevin as well, but he's kind of not one of the main ones at the same time, ends up solving the murder of Jason Blossom, the actual detective in the whole town.
Exactly. You think obviously the main detective would be able to solve this, but instead obviously it ends up being like Jughead as well, to be fair, and Betty. But it's just a bit odd, isn't it? It just feels like, to be fair, it's a bit kind of like real life, isn't it? The police can be a little bit useless sometimes.
Kind of, yeah. So I mean, like these four kids, the main characters, Archie, Veronica, Betty, and Jughead, end up going around, find out who kills Jason Blossom, and throughout the whole of Riverdale, the narration is by Jughead Jones, played by Cole Sprouse, and you might remember him from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. He was Cody in that. I didn't know that really, and I actually started watching the series and I didn't know that.
What
is that he was Cody from Sweet Life of Zack and Cody? I was like, this kid looks familiar, but I don't know where he's from. Well, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually the story turns out where they think that Jason's died in the river and the boat fell over and may have drowned, but it turns out Jason was actually shot in the head, and the whole season's based on trying to find out who's shot him in the head. But I kind of feel like some of that mystery doesn't kind of happen more towards the end of the season, because in the meantime Archie's having multiple girlfriends. Betty and Jughead eventually end up getting together.
A ginger stallion,
Pretty much. But so obviously at first, Archie's going out with Miss Grundy, and she's a bit on the fence about if they're dating, if they're not dating, if they find out she's going to lose a job by being potentially a predator to a high school teenager. But
technically he's 18, isn't he? So but end of this, just kind of still abusing her trust, isn't she?
Did you like Miss Grundy or?
Nah, I thought it was a bit weird, to be honest.
I can see.
What's the reason weird?
I can see where they came from with the I can see where they came from for the storyline, because everyone probably in high school probably fancies that older teacher or things. You know, has that crush initially on a teacher, but you're gonna think, never in a million years is that gonna happen. Well, I certainly didn't when I was in school. But Archie's another matter. You know, she picked him up after one day, seeing him topless while he was working at Fred's construction for the summer. But obviously after a couple of episodes in, they find out that Archie and Miss Grundy was at Sweetwater River together on July 4th when they heard a gunshot that apparently was the gun fired to kill Jason Blossom. But another question I've got as well, though, is they hear this gunshot, which turns out to be a Dilton Doily and his scouts firing the gun. But overall, obviously, Jason Blossom crosses the river, and obviously he's going to go run off with Polly Cooper, who's Betty's sister. And they're going to, you know, start maybe a new life upstate down the farm. Obviously, at this point, Polly's pregnant with twins. What I'm trying to wonder, though, is how close Sweetwater River is to the White Worm, which is the Southside Serpent's kind of hideout.
Yeah. Like
where Jason actually gets killed. So I don't know how far that is for someone to take and kidnap to actually take him there, because it doesn't explain.
Exactly. Going back a little bit as well from what it is that you mentioned before about the river situation. Obviously, he fell off the boat. He did into the river, right? And obviously, it showed you the scene whereabouts. Obviously, they were on the boat. They were like searching the river. But if someone fallen into the river, obviously they would have been drenched, soaking from head to toe, I'd imagine. Yeah. And obviously, it looked like it was a pretty sunny day. And didn't it? Yeah, it looked like it was a pretty sunny day.
Essentially so.
Surely, if we climbed up, like, obviously the river bank, there would have been some kind of trail there. Obviously, if he had been soaking wet and
footprints, maybe.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. And from the looks of it, they go out there pretty fast because she was still kind of wet. So I'm imagining obviously within the hour. But if they went downstream, to the looks of it, surely they would have seen some kind of, like I said, trail from where he climbed out the river, footprints, wet, snapped branches, anything like that. But
also as well, though, one quick thing actually, while you mentioned that, obviously you see Cheryl crying on like some rocks when Dilton Doily finds her, but the boat's in the background.
Yeah.
So did that just happen? Did she just get out of the water and the boat was still there? Because surely, as you were saying, whether it's a stream, the boat's going to be carried along the stream. Yeah, it wasn't tied with a rope to a rock.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So I thought, maybe the boat were gone. That would be a bit more realistic. But fair enough if she had just gotten off the boat and she was there crying straight away. But surely if they were going to make it pretend that he was drowned, surely she should have been shouting for help.
Yeah.
Like, you know, please help my brother, he's drowning, he's potentially dead, help him.
Yeah.
So she just sat there crying.
I know.
I just felt like, well, why? Like, if that was me or you, and, you know, if one of us were in that situation, one of us would be shouting, please help, do you know what I mean? My friend's down there, or my relative's down there. You know, but they don't do that.
Exactly, yes.
I'm just a bit baffled by the whole thing, lad.
Yeah. Totally understand that.
But, so that's the start of, like, Jason Blossom getting killed, and that's the story of him being dead and how he died. But it turns out at the end where he was actually shot in the head, and we'll get into spoiler in a minute about who did that. But in the meantime, we'll get back to Archie right now. So obviously he's dating Grundy for a couple of episodes, and they're kind of on and off, that she doesn't know if she wants to be with him. But then also in the first couple of episodes, Archie's a bit hesitant about his secret that he has, that he was with Grundy at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know, at the Sweetwater River, and he doesn't want that to get out. But really, they didn't really
because he might be linked to the Jason.
Yeah, but I didn't really think like the secret was a big secret, because Archie never shot a gun. Miss Grundy didn't shoot a gun. They were together, you know, making out whatever they were doing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if he's legal, aged 18 in America, you know, and he's seen that teacher, then surely.
Yeah, but the only thing is also been like breaking, like obviously the confidential,
like the law.
That's
kind of.
It'll be.
We don't know American law, by the way,
yeah,
so
that's how we don't.
we're assuming that's not the case. But I mean, I don't know what would happen if a teacher was dating a student. I think they would probably get kicked out of school. I think.
Yeah, they might lose the job, kind of thing. But technically, if he's 18, then at the same time, it's.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. So. Yeah, but we do learn the truth about Miss Grundy as well. So she came from an abusive relationship. So she moved state, created a fake ID, Jennifer Gibson, not Miss Grundy. So we learn a little bit about that as well. But one thing I'm a bit confused by as well is when it finds out and Miss Grundy's confronted by Alice Cooper, Archie's dad, Fred, about what's been going on. She says, right, okay, I'm going to pack up my job, I'm going to leave town. But then, straight away when she leaves town, it shows her that she's starting to hit on another teenager.
Yeah,
surely she'd want a mature relationship. maybe someone a bit older, settled down, maybe a couple of kids.
Yeah, you'd think, but yeah.
But surely she must just love these flings with these high schoolers and maybe chance her luck. I mean, she's a good-looking woman, but surely she'd want a family. I think that's what everyone kind of wants, you know.
But, it seems like just like taking advantage of the situation.
Yeah,
but also like when she moved on and you seen her with another student, that's what it seemed like. But she might just, might just get a little bit of a buzz from it. Who knows? Obviously, it's not right, but
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Yeah. So going on from that, the episode after, Archie starts flirting with Val from Josie and the Pussycats, and for me, this is one of the worst things I think about this season.
Yeah.
So I think by all means, they had good chemistry. They started to get on really well, and I felt like if they stayed together for the whole season, then fair enough. The build up that relationships, build up the time they spent together.
It didn't seem like a relationship or really as such. It was more like a...
He's more using it, wasn't he, to get his music out?
Yeah, a little bit. That's the way it came across. But also you got to think as well, there was kind of like a triangle going on, or probably more than a triangle. Well, it is, but it isn't.
It is,
because you had Betty who was
like after... a square?
Oh, yeah, more like a square, because obviously you've got Betty, and then obviously you've got Miss Grundy, and then Veronica, and then...
Val.
Yeah, exactly, that's 4 of them. So
and
basically he was like kind of smack stuck in the middle of them all, wasn't he, really?
He was, yeah.
Yeah,
so...
it just seemed like he didn't know what he wanted, but to be fair, when you're at that age, do you really know what you want? You know what I mean? And the day he was playing his part well.
Not
exactly,
really.
yeah.
But, I didn't, so...
exactly, so it's...
But I felt it would have been better if they just stayed friends. Personally, I felt like if they just stayed friends and, Val, by all means, helping Archie out, get his music out there, or... she suggested one episode as well, which I felt was a bit pointless. She suggested him to go see that music teacher, Oscar, I believe he was called, and it shows him for about 20 minutes of the episode, clips in, and then something else going on, then back to him, and he eventually says, "Oh yeah, I can't help you." What was the point?
Exactly, yeah, it seemed a bit...
It's just pointless, fair enough. I think they should have kept the relationship as friends, really good friends, Val helps him out, and maybe, I don't know, something happens where Archie repays Val the favour, and have that good friendship, and then, because after, when him and Val end up, splitting up and don't end up carrying on the relationship, him and Veronica then get together.
Yeah.
So by this point, I thought Archie might have a bit of a reputation, be like, oh, he can't commit to something. You're going to be with him for maybe 2 episodes and you're done. Someone else is going to come along. But that's,
to be fair, if it was the other way around, if it was a woman who was doing that, obviously, so would have been,
branded.
Exactly, would have been branded on the spot.
That's true.
But whereas a guy kind of, it's not right by any means, but he seems to get away with a lot more than what a woman would, if you know what I mean. Obviously, it's not right and it's not fair, but that's
true, because at the end, when Betty published that newspaper saying FP's innocent in regards with the murder of Jason Blossom, it's painted on a locker or on the wall. It says, like, "Go to hell, serpent slut," and she's only ever gotten with Jughead. Exactly. So she hasn't really been branded as that, So I just felt that was a bit weird as well. But we'll talk a bit about the actual murder itself, Jason Blossom. So when you first watched Riverdale, did you think it was, by the way, killer's Clifford Blossom, his dad? Did you think it was the dad? I didn't.
No, it took me by surprise. I must admit, I wasn't expecting that at all either. That was it. But the thing what got me as well was obviously when obviously all came out that he was the killer. I just find it a bit. I find it strange, but. Can we talk a little bit about season 2 a little bit? Can we jug in?
Go on, we'll talk a bit about season 2.
Sorry if there's any spoilers, but the thing what confused me a little bit is facts, and obviously he went in the barn, he hung himself. Basically, he committed suicide.
True.
However, season 2, his brother comes in.
Yeah, and don't mention the brother in the first season as well.
Actually, that was completely, it wasn't mentioned at all, and that was a bit of a surprise.
It looks exactly like him.
Yeah, because it is.
Is it Twitter? I can't remember the twins. We'll have to watch that again. We'll review season 2 at some other point. But so it looks exactly like him in season 2. And then, then he hung himself in the barn. But like, it didn't even show. Maybe he's like, because obviously they have a funeral for him, and they acknowledge that in kind of like the last episode of season 1. But didn't even show like his twin brother maybe going there.
I kind of got like, yeah, because later on you find out it's because like he kind of took off or something, didn't he, when he was younger? But I've got like a little bit of a mad theory. I think the person who died in the bomb wasn't actually him. I think that was his twin brother. Personally, yeah.
The death of Jason.
Yeah, I do personally think he was the one who.
It's a bit of a
but there's no way to tell they're identical twins. Look, you know what I mean, and obviously.
True. Because the thing is as well though with Clifford, you see him at one point in season 1, and he's got just a room full of wigs.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
So underneath, has he got no hair? Has he got grey hair?
I'm sure he's grey underneath.
Because his brother in season 2 is grey hair.
Yeah.
So does he also wear wigs in his spare time?
You never know. He just must love wigs. You know, you think it'd be a lot more cheap if he just dyed his hair. Exactly.
Because at some point Cheryl says to him, "Oh, he's got a wig for every mood."
Yeah.
How many moods can one person have?
Exactly.
He's upset. Oh, I'll put my head down today. I'll put this up today. I don't know. But I didn't think it was him who committed the murder, because at some point, obviously, it's pinpointed on Hiram Lodge when Mustang, the Southside Serpent who kidnapped him, is found dead in a hotel room as a potential overdose, but it's not an overdose, it's made to look like that.
Yeah.
And then they find a bag with the initials HL, Hiram Lodge, and the money in there as well, so Clifford's trying to pin it on him, but then it's not him, but then, as well, you know, in the last episode...
It's quite smart as how he tried to play it all off. Obviously, it did backfire on him in the end. But
it did.
Yeah.
What do you think about the cliffhanger of season 1?
Whereabouts... whereabouts...
Fred.
Yeah, Fred. He got shot in Pop's Diner. Love Pop, by the way. He's one
that... He got popped in bombs.
Yeah, the irony, exactly. But yeah... I love Pop. He's brilliant. But
you don't see much of him in season 1.
No, you don't. But he's kind of like a backdrop character, isn't he? But he just makes the show what it is. You know, or Pop's is the heart of Riverdale. So
true.
Yeah.
True.
Exactly. But in regards to the shooting, I wasn't expecting that one bit, to be honest. Obviously that took me by surprise. The way how.
Yeah, true.
Archie handled the situation as well. Obviously, he beat himself up badly because of it. You know what I mean? Obviously, blame him. But obviously, if you're in that situation, I imagine anyone else would probably feel the same. Like, could I have done better? Could I have done this? You know, but
one thing I didn't.
Yeah,
one thing I didn't quite get at the actual end of the season though was obviously Fred gets shot, and by this guy in like a black mask, which turns out to be the Black Hood in season 2. One thing I didn't quite get though was, obviously, when you see the Black Hood, trying to hold the staff worker and Pops at ransom and get the money from the till, is Archie comes back out from the toilet and Fred's like this. He's like, no, don't come out. Mm-hmm. But Archie ends up coming out and he starts to run, but then Fred gets shot. Because surely the guy, the Black Hood, would shoot Archie, because obviously he'd be in the firing line of that bullet. Because it doesn't show him backing off or him staying still. It shows him starting to run out, and then suddenly a gunshot goes off. Next thing you see is Archie holding his dad at his side with the blood pouring. But I thought maybe Archie would have got shot because he's first in line really with that gunshot.
I would just put it down to bad camera angles. That's what it is. But yeah, it does appear that way, but obviously it doesn't. That's pretty bad. But overall, I really enjoyed season 1. To be honest, at first I was a little bit hesitant. I was about watching it. Like I said, I did feel it was over teeny at first when I watched the first episode. I was like, I don't know if I'm quite getting into it. But as it progressed into episode 2, 3, and 4, obviously,
because I recommended it to you. I was like, Andy, do you watch Riverdale? I was like, nah, I've never seen it.
Yeah, and then when I watched the first episode, I was like,
But overall,
it does get better. If you haven't seen it, I do recommend watching it. Because and don't give up on the first episode. It does appear very teeny, but it does get better.
What did you not like about the season? There must be 1 or 2 things. Personally,
obviously,
it was
the Jason thing at the beginning didn't quite make sense to me personally, because obviously, as I mentioned before earlier in the video, that obviously you fell in the river. It was a dry day. There would have been trails, you know what I mean? And obviously, you think the police department would be able to pick up on that, but obviously they didn't.
The footprints as well, because they didn't even reference one. There's he walked on this trail the other side of the river. Again, the teenagers found this out.
Exactly. But yet the police department couldn't. But other thing as well, which I didn't quite get, which I'm sure other people may have noticed. I'm sure you noticed this as well. House fire.
The house,
yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
True, yeah, because I was in the last episode.
Yeah.
Cheryl thinks she's got to cleanse the house of the sins of the dad, so she then burns the house down, which makes no sense. And I was saying to Andy in season 2, they're back in that house. So did the fire department come afterwards and be like, right, put that on and they've rebuilt it? Did they just burn Thornhill right down to the ground and Fred came along with his construction and built it back up?
Exactly.
What? I don't get what went on there as well.
It doesn't add up.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Nah, I don't think.
I think there is errors in the season. Like, obviously, it's stuff which doesn't make sense, but in the day, it's a TV program.
But surely as well, though, if you were a parent and your kid burned your house down, you're not just going to be standing there really being like, what are you doing?
You kill them. You wouldn't be doing that. You'd be strangling them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, or you'd try to get some water, maybe you try to put the fire out. Or fair enough, it was little with gasoline, which is a bit of a different story, but surely you'd be raging.
Of course you would.
I would be fuming.
Hand them into the police station, but then absolutely. Sorry.
But not even throughout the season though. Like the mum and Cheryl have a lot of tension.
Yeah.
They don't like each other. Or it shows a lot of time I find as well is the kids are always cheeky to the parents.
Yeah.
I wouldn't dare do that to my mum, but she'd be like, "What are you saying? What are you doing?"
No, you get a clip, wouldn't you?
You would get a clip. Yeah, you would. Yeah. Exactly, but so I know I agree with that with the house as well. And Archie and Val, I just felt like was absolutely pointless. That part where Val suggests a music teacher for Archie, I felt was pointless. I felt they should have spent more time on some of the better aspects of the season, like FP and Jughead.
Jughead,
their relationship. Yeah. You know, FP is portrayed as a good guy and then a bad guy, and you can't decide whether he is a good guy or isn't. But they've got like a good bond, or how Jughead thinks that things are going to finally go their way when FP says that they're going to move to Toledo with Jellybean and the mum. I don't think it says the mum's name at any point.
I'm not too sure. I think that's what it was referred to, but obviously, I know you mean. But we've never actually got to see Jellybean or
the mum.
Jellybean's
seen in a photo, but only when her and Jughead are young kids. Yeah, so you don't know what she looks like now.
Yeah.
You don't know what school she goes to, or she doesn't make a cameo, even. Yeah, so I felt that
it's a bit
as well could have in a cameo. Like, you know, she came to town maybe to see
later on, they might bring that on later on when they bring it, like, obviously, the next season. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
I think it's rumoured for it to be in
content.
season 3.
Yeah.
I think it is, so keep an eye out for that.
Yeah, exactly. But I wonder how that'll affect the relationship between him and Betty, because obviously Betty's never really met that other side of his family. As far as I'm aware, she's never really met him. We don't know what Jellybean's gonna be like. You know what I mean? So it might be a true serpent. You never know. So it might be.
That'd be cool.
Exactly.
A family of serpents.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Was when Joe got his jacket.
Jacket.
That was on the.
Yeah, and he gets passed on to the south side and kind of becomes a leader.
Yeah, you could see in his eyes he was proud. That was a proud moment for him. Yeah.
Because he holds his emotion in really well as well. Like, so when him and FP's having a moment, or FP lets him down, or he goes back to his alcohol and boozy ways, Jughead's just really calm. Like, it looks like he's about to cry, and he's like, no, I'm not gonna cry. I'm just gonna shrug it off. Everything will be okay.
He loves his dad, doesn't he? That's it.
He does.
Obviously, he's got like a love-hate. At first, it's kind of like a love-hate relationship, isn't it? Obviously, I'm sure he's living in the is it like the movie house?
Yeah, the drive-in.
Yeah.
The drive-in at first,
exactly, because obviously his dad's alcohol abuse. Yeah, of course.
True.
But
true. Yeah.
I think Jughead is a really interesting character, and he's a character to watch out for in the future. Yeah.
Best characters in the show, and Archie, I like Archie as well.
He brings a lot to the show, right? Especially Archie. Yeah. Well, obviously Archie.
Him and Archie's relationship as well. They're obviously best friends. But at the beginning of the season as well, though, it does also say that. Because obviously Archie spends the summer with Miss Grundy working at Fred's. Him and Jughead's meant to go away, but then Archie spending time with Miss Grundy, and they're by the river. So at first couple of episodes, they're kind of like ends, because essentially Archie is blowing Jughead off for these other plans, which he doesn't tell him about, and Jughead ends up finding that out as well.
Yeah.
So Yeah, it's good that the tension was there a bit as well, but I also liked Fred and Archie.
Yeah.
I thought their relationship was good. Fred's got to be one of the best dads I've ever met.
Yeah, definitely.
In a TV series. he's awesome as well.
He's quite understanding, isn't he? For, yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
He is.
But, he's a school dude.
But what would you give Riverdale out of 10? Do you think?
Overall,
bearing that in mind, what you kind of don't like.
Just from season 1, if I was rating on that as a whole, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10, purely because there is room for improvements. I do believe that there is some errors in the season, which... Obviously, like the house fire and obviously Jason falling in the river, like the first ever episode when it happened to Jason, that didn't quite make sense to me. But
true.
Yeah, but there was some shock, like for instance, like the end bit when you find out who actually shot Jason. You know, I mean that was good. That was
with Clifford.
Yeah, so I'd have to give it a 7 out of 10. What about yourself?
Yeah, I'd say the same. I'd say 7 out of 10. Yeah, just. Again,
room for improvement. But,
yeah, a great season, and something that I've actually watched the season 3 times now, so I'm quite hooked on Riverdale. But yeah, it's just Southside 7 shit. But yeah, as I say, it's just those minor errors or those minor improvements they could have made. I think if they kind of took that out, it could have easily been a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 even as well.
Yeah, I totally agree.
But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Again, thanks to Andy for being here to do the review with me as well. And if you haven't seen Riverdale, definitely check it out. It's definitely a one to watch. Until next time, this has been a Z Review.